I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Trent Alexander-Arnold has left my FPL draft for the first time. But I think this is the best team I have built so far this preseason. I cannot wait to show you this team. So make sure you do drop a like on the video. Make sure you do smash that subscribe button. We're aiming for 6k before game week 1. So without further ado, let's get into this tasty FPL draft. Yes, guys, okay, so first up, let's take a look at the goalkeeper and defensive pick of the FPL draft. First up, I have gone for Flekken at Brentford. Now, originally, I have been all in on Man United's Onana. I really think there is a draft that we can put him in. But right now, I'm opting for the 4.5 million in Flekken. Looking at the fixtures in the opening 6 game weeks, because realistically and historically, I have wildcarded around that sort of period. So I'm only looking at a time frame around that period. I really like Brentford's fixtures in hand. Spurs at the first game, that could be anything realistically. So I'm not expecting too much from Brentford in that fixture. But after that, we have Fulham away with potentially no Mitrovic in that team. Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth at home and Everton at home. I think there's a really good potential there for some clean sheets over that period. And importantly, with Brentford, I expect Flekken to be a good option regarding save points. And you always want to bring in a goalkeeper that has the potential for bonus point accumulation, save points, and of course, actually delivering on the clean sheets. And I think Flekken, as long as David Raya gets sold, is a brilliant option. But again, it's early doors. I think goalkeepers are definitely up for grabs, but Flekken is the pick of the bunch right now for me. Moving into the defence. Oh, before we go into that, Areola at 4 million as my goalkeeper. I think that's just an obvious pick right now for all of our FPL drafts, as he has the potential to become West Ham's #1. Now, moving into the defence, let's talk about the hot topic right now in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, anybody that's been following the channel knows that I am a massive Trent Alexander-Arnold fan. I couldn't actually foresee a draft that I would create that I would like that didn't have Trent in, but this is the first one that I do like. Now, the reason why I'm not putting Trent in right now, first and foremost, is the fixtures alone. I don't think Liverpool's fixtures are fantastic over that period where I expect to then wildcard around game week 6, for example. Chelsea away, really can't see anything to suggest that they're going to keep a clean sheet necessarily. It could be one of those fixtures that could either be 3-0, 0-0. Very hard to predict because of Pochettino coming in as a new manager and this new team. So I think it's almost impossible to suggest what that game could be. Bournemouth at home is a fantastic fixture, we know. But then Newcastle away, Villa at home, Wolves away. I don't think they're necessarily brilliant fixtures for Liverpool. And importantly for me, while they haven't signed a defensive midfielder with Fabinho looking like he might leave, I don't necessarily think Liverpool are going to be any better defensively going into the season. So originally it's kind of like, okay, I have to buy Trent with the assumption he's going to be delivering for attack and returns. Until I see something right now, especially with him playing almost as a midfielder in these preseason games, I can't get behind Trent as an FPL option, whereas I can get these other fantastic picks at a cheaper price. So right now, Trent is out of the team. Now, looking at the 3 that I've selected for game week 1, Shaw is my pick right now for the Man United defensive coverage. The reason why I like Shaw, game week 2, you can bench him away against Spurs, whereas if you have Onana, obviously you have to play him. And Shaw is fantastic in game weeks 1 and game weeks 3, importantly. Now, the reason why I prefer Luke Shaw over Onana is because in game week 1, they have their brilliant game at home against Wolves, and then in game week 3, they have Nottingham Forest at home. Attack and returns is going to be really important in that game. And I think Shaw really has that ceiling where we could see double-digit returns. Whereas Onana, if they have a great day at the office, he might pick up his clean sheet and get the 6-pointer. But I don't necessarily see masses of saves for him. So I think the ceiling is really high for Luke Shaw. And then you could bench him in game week 2. So I'm opting for Luke Shaw, especially with the money we have available in this team. Gabriel, the pick of the Arsenal bunch. I don't think anyone comes close to him in that defence at the time of recording. He's a really solid pick, especially with their great home fixtures they have in the opening game weeks. And Estupiñán as well. I have an eye on selling him around game week 4 when the fixtures start to turn. But for game weeks 1 and game weeks 3 in particular, Estupiñán feels like one of those defenders, one of those rare defenders where he could have those double-digit returns in him. And I feel like it's a little bit brave to go without him, especially with that Luton game at home. They could just blow Luton out of the water, and that could be one of those games where Estupiñán gets his goal, assist, and clean sheet combination. I want to be part of that going into game week 1, so I can't see myself going without Estupiñán. Now, as you will see on my bench, Ben Chilwell has made this draft. He's on the bench. I know it's a little bit controversial, and it's a lot of money to buy a defender to be on the bench. but I'm seeing good things from Chelsea right now. Now, I am a Chelsea fan, a little bit biased, but Pochettino, with this system that he's playing, is basically inverting his wingers into half spaces and encouraging his fullbacks to bomb on, in particular, Ben Chilwell. And what I've seen over pre-season right now, he is absolutely locked in as the number one left back in this Chelsea team. And with the fixtures coming up, that's why he's benched in game week 1 with that Liverpool game. But after that, West Ham away, Luton at home, Forest at home, Bournemouth away, I want to get ahead of the curve for Chelsea defenders and Chelsea players in general. And I think Chilwell is the pick of the bunch. Game week 1, we bench him, and game weeks 2 and 3, we look to play him. And I'll touch on that later on in the video where I reveal what my team in game week 2 and 3 would hypothetically look like. Baldock is the 4 million defender, still waiting for that real one to emerge in the team. But that's how the defence is looking right now. Now moving into the midfield, and this is where it really gets tasty with this draft, because the money that we have saved from not having Trent Alexander-Arnold can just get pumped into this midfield where there is real value available in the game. So players that have been in every single one of my drafts is Saka and Rashford. I think there's a real argument to have Fernandes over Rashford, especially if he is going to be the penalty taker in Bruno Fernandes. But for me, I want the goal scorer in that Man United team, whether Rashford plays as the number 9, off the left, I don't care. At 9 million, I want him in my team. I think he is one of those players that has such a high ceiling, and with the fixtures that they have, he can deliver week in, week out. So for me, Rashford is a non-negotiable. He is in this team, and the same applies to Saka. I've seen some really good underlying numbers to suggest we could go elsewhere of our Arsenal picks. Odegaard, Martinelli, all posting fantastic numbers. But for me, Saka is that golden boy, potentially on penalties as well, which is really important. And I just want that asset in Saka for my team. I would love Martinelli in this team. I think he is one of the best value picks in the game. But the way this is structured right now, I'm currently opting for Saka as the only Arsenal midfielder. Now, Bruno Fernandes is coming in as the double up for that Man United just because they have that great home game in game week 1 against Wolves and that fantastic game week 3 fixture at home against Nottingham Forest. I really want double Man United. As spoiler alert, I have already got double Arsenal in this team. And I think this is the best way to navigate your drafts, having both double Man United and double Arsenal. We don't have a forward in the game that is a Man United player that we can actually invest in. Therefore, I think the only way we can really accommodate the double ups in both teams is to go double Man United midfield, and I have no arguments with that. Now, the one that I'm loving right now, and I haven't really taken out of my draft much, is going to be Phil Foden. The Man City fixtures are a joke. They are so good. Burnley away, Newcastle at home. Newcastle's tough, but then after that, Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest. With the situation that Foden's in right now, I'm expecting a breakthrough season for him. I know we say it every season, but what we saw at the start of last season was Foden basically playing as a second forward alongside Haaland. And I really think Foden is going to be deployed in a similar situation going into this season. I want to see a bit in pre-season, but realistically at 7.5 million, he can make a mockery of his price. And with those fixtures, I want a bit more in my team than just Erling Haaland in that attack. And Phil Foden for me just looks like the perfect player to accommodate that 7.5 million price bracket. Last up in the midfielders is Mitoma. I'm actually not as excited about Mitoma as other managers, but at 6.5, I think he's just a good investment for those Brighton fixtures, knowing that I'm likely going to sell him in game week 4 unless they do a mad one in those opening 3 fixtures. And Ciso is firmly on the radar, but at 5.5, with the money available in this squad, I don't think I need to take the risk on the Ciso minutes right now, and I can just go for Mitoma knowing you can go down to Ciso if needed. There's a few omissions here. No Embuemo, very popular pick. I'm not as big on him right now, but if we see him on penalties in pre-season, that could change my mind. But that's how the midfield's looking, and I think it looks good. Last up, moving into these forwards, and to be honest with you, if you've watched my previous videos, these two have been in every single one of my drafts. Now, Haaland, again, I'm just not going to talk about him because he's just locked into my team, and I think he should be locked into all of your teams. But Gabriel Jesus is one that I have started to question about last few days. Now, Gabriel Jesus in pre-season has been okay, but what I've seen from the average touch heat maps is that he is playing a typical Gabriel Jesus position where he is dropping a little bit deeper to link up the play, and the wingers are still being the ones highest forward, which includes both Saka and Martinelli. Now, in an ideal world, I would have the combination of Gabriel, Saka and Martinelli in my team, but as I discussed, because we don't have a Man United forward in the game right now, I think Fernandes plus Rashford and then the Arsenal combination of Saka plus Gabriel Jesus just feels like the right way to go right now. It means that we can go sideways to a Watkins at 8 million, who I think is starting to get more and more in the back of my mind as we get closer to game week 1. Or we can go down to Nkunku or Darwin Núñez if they do start to hit the ground running in those opening fixtures. I think the 8 million forward slot is a non-negotiable for me personally, as it gives you that flexibility in your drafts. But I do think I'm starting to move, not necessarily away from Gabriel Jesus, but I'm starting to consider other alternatives that could be available to me. As I think Watkins just offers that guaranteed game time, penalties, and importantly, an ever-improving Unai Emery team that could make his way into the team. But right now, because of that brilliant game week 1 fixture, I've gone for Gabriel Jesus to accommodate alongside Saka in that double Arsenal attack. Cameron Archer right now, the 4.5 million forward, but realistically, none have actually stepped up right now as an option for our team. So he is just going to be a placeholder until we maybe get some transfers later on in the summer window. But that is how the draft is looking. I want to quickly show you guys exactly how my game week 2 team and 3 would look, so make sure you stick around for that. Okay, so we are slightly fast forwarding here for game week 2. I know a lot will happen between that period, but this is how the team would look if I was to field in game week 2. And as I discussed, I would have Ben Chilwell come back into the defence, replacing Luke Shaw, and the rest of the team would look how it is. The fixtures are good. I think the Spurs game for Man United isn't one to be too worried about. I think with the defenders that they have available to them, I think Spurs are going to be an exciting team this year, but not a defensive, resolute team like we saw at times under Conte. So I think there's going to be goals in that fixture, and I wouldn't be put off from having Bruno Fernandes and Rashford as a double up. And I feel like I'm happily benching Luke Shaw in that fixture. As I said, I think with the introduction of Maddison alongside the ever-present Harry Kane, there are going to be goals in that fixture. And I feel comfortable benching Luke Shaw, bringing in Ben Chilwell for that high upside that I think he offers away against West Ham. And the rest of the fixtures feel like a non-negotiable. They have to be fielded in that starting 11. I think one caveat I need to say here is that, of course, with Liverpool at home against Bournemouth in game week 2, very difficult to ignore that fixture, and I would love to have a way of bringing in a Liverpool player into this team, but realistically I think the only one that could leave my team in this period would be Bruno Fernandes if I really saw something huge from the Liverpool midfielders, whether it be a Diego Jota or someone like a Diaz on the left wing. But I would need to see a lot in game week 1 to suggest to make that move. Otherwise I could be flying without Liverpool in game week 2, which feels like a little bit of a scary route. And of course, that's what Trent Alexander-Arnold kind of offers us in our teams if we were to go with him. So a little bit scary, but I think game week 2 looks fine with the rotations that I've got of both Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell. Now, looking at game week 3, for anyone that didn't know, game week 3 is a ridiculous game week. Just look at the fixtures that my players have here, and a lot of you guys will have. Flecken at home against Crystal Palace, Chilwell at home, Shaw at home, and Gabriel at home. All of the midfield have unbelievable fixtures, and Phil Foden away against Sheffield United. And then we have Gabriel Jesus at home against Fulham and Haaland away against Sheffield United. Estupiñán at home against West Ham would be my first sub in that team. So game week 3 is ridiculous. And honestly, I don't think anybody is going to use a transfer in game week 3 because all of their players will have such unbelievable games. And also on the face of it as well, you don't really want to go into someone like a Liverpool because they have a tricky game away against Newcastle. So this is my big question mark right now. I could sell Bruno Fernandes in game week 2 for a Liverpool midfielder, but then in game week 3, it will simply be Bruno Fernandes at home against Forest or a Liverpool midfielder away against Newcastle. And on the face of it, I would much rather have Fernandes away against Spurs, who I don't think are going to be defensively good, and then at home against Forest than what the Liverpool 2 fixtures offer. So I'm looking at game week 3 thinking, I ain't going to use a transfer here. So game week 2 might be the time where I have a little bit of a punt, go a different route, and then maybe leave the team in game week 3 or go back to a Man United midfielder. But look, it is short term, guys. There's so much that can happen between this period. But I like just looking a little bit forward to see how their rotations will look. And importantly, Ben Chilwell at home against Luton in that fixture. I'm already ahead of the curve. I've got him in, and I think there could be returns there. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. That is my updated FPL draft. I'm really, really excited about this one. And now I do think there is a strong possibility of me going out Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I will, of course, update you with future videos about how my team's looking. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, drop a like and smash that subscribe button. It'll be massively appreciated. Make sure you do join League. Link is in the bio. And that just leaves me to say, have a fantastic day. Check out the most recent video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.